best case scenario, if you're the Bulls brass and you wanted to be competitive this year, best case scenario, you're getting thwomped in the first round if you make it there.
And I'll give you guys a stat here if I can find it. Prior to, or I guess on Monday when I looked this up, I'm not sure if the numbers are still the same. The odds for the Bulls to make the playoffs, according to ESPN's 538, which is their NBA projections website, their odds to make the playoffs, not the play-in, but the playoffs, 8%.
8%, right.
The odds for the Bulls to win the lottery, not just keep their pick, but win the lottery and get Victor Wembanyama, 7.5%. So you're in a position right now where you kind of have to, like, it's too late for them to go full-on tank and get a bottom 4 pick, but they can still get that 5th pick, that 5th lottery odds, and that could change the entire fortune of the franchise for the next 15 years.
That quick little Bulls math problem just made our guy Lawrence audibly groan from over there. It's not a pretty picture that Will just painted. It is unfortunately the reality.
Change with
I'm sorry. If you just listen to those numbers, it is painfully obvious what the team should be doing.
Exactly.
And what is best for the team in the long run, it's not even close. So it's those numbers make it a little bit frustrating.
And I've been saying this since they were 11 and 18 in November, and I get that you can't just pack it in at that point.
You asked me one night, you were like, when is it not too early to start talking tank? When they were, November 11, 18. And I think I told you I was like late December, early January.
Yeah, I'm not with it.
I was at that point still hanging on to see if they could get their shit together because they were 7-1 against the Celtics, the Bucks, the Heat, all this, and you're like, well, figure it out. Figure your shit out. Get your shit together. Get it all together. Figure it out.
Because the only thing I have for that, Will, is this is the Bulls. So even with those numbers, I still don't see it working because it's the Bulls. Since when have we gotten that kind of luck?
2008.
Derrick Rose.
The
and the chances were 1.8. I'm just saying the chances were 1.8. You know what I'm saying, to get that. They had better chances when they were, the fourth worst team in the league. And we got number 7 for the 3rd straight year.
Yeah, but weren't those Niko Mirotic winning streaks fun?
Dude, they were worse the next year. Even in that streak, they were worse. You know what I'm saying? They were a worse team.
Weren't those Sean
and still got number 7
victories fun?
They still got number 7. That's my point. You're right. They shouldn't have been winning those games, but they were worse the next year. Still got number 7.
And my only counter to that is just because it happened once, just because
3 times,
just because the rebuild went bad the one time, whether it was bad luck in the lottery or whatever, does not mean that that's how it's going to go again.
I get it.
I think the Bulls.
That's 3 times though. It's not 1.
Right, but it's odds. Like each of these are individual instances where they've had bad luck. It's not even, for me, it's less about trying to be bad and more about less about even trying to get lucky. And it's more just like putting yourself in the best position long term. I think that's why I was advocating for them to make trades for some of their stars. But it's also like best case scenario, even if you get into the play-in, I feel like the script has already been written with this team.
Right.
I know what it is. And I think if they get into the playoffs, the incentive for the front office to make changes next year goes down because they did finish the season strong and get into the playoffs. And I've seen the evaluation period is over. What the evaluation I need to do is Ayo Dosunmu, Dalen Terry, Kobe White, Patrick Williams. That's the evaluation I need. So I'm thinking big picture here. I get it. Like whimpering out of the season, not making the playoffs is pathetic. And to me, that's only part of the equation.
Okay.
And we'll wrap up with this. Our guy AK with a comment saying the Bulls aren't taken because it hurts ticket sales for the play-in game, maybe the playoffs, and it hurts ticket sales for next season. See, what I want to believe is that Bulls fans collectively are smart enough to say if they admit to themselves and to us, we tried the run it back plan with this group that made the playoffs and kind of fell off with some, untimely injuries last season. We believed in this group. We wanted to see it together and healthy. Okay, you sold us that. We didn't necessarily buy the whole thing, but we at least were willing to come along to see how it worked out. It clearly didn't work out. So instead of doubling down to say, well, wouldn't you like a play-in game? Maybe we'll get a couple of home games in the first round. if they proved to us that what they really want is like what you were saying, Will, fix it. Admit that it didn't work out. Make proactive moves now to fix it. And if it means in the immediate future your team takes a little bit of a hit, it's like, whatever, you're 6-7 games under 500 as it is already. The other thing they might be thinking about, if they wave the white flag and focus on, okay, let's develop these young guys to see what they got, and if we lose games, oh shucks, aka that's actually in our best interest. Do they worry about that hurting Zach and or DeMar's trade value this offseason? Because in that sense, it's like, well, the Bulls are clearly giving up this core and going a new direction. So they're desperate to get rid of these guys, hypothetically speaking. So we can lowball them. If the Bulls still try to get it together and make the playoffs, it won't risk hurting the trade value of either of their two stars.
I think it does.
You think it hurts the trade value of Zach?
If you miss the playoffs and you're trying, I think that's a bad look. That makes me feel like, why would I trade for this guy if he's not contributing to a winning team? And that's what the goal is. And that's the stated goal. Like, I think, again, the window of opportunity to get into the true top 4 contention for keeping your pick passed when the Bulls were 11-18 in November.
Yeah.
The opportunity for them to go all out for the bottom passed at the trade deadline when they didn't do anything. And they had another opportunity to just let it ride out and maybe just like play Dale and Terry a little bit more. That maybe results in some more losses. That passed when you signed Patrick Beverley. So I get it. It's not happening, and it's almost like not worth revisiting at this point because like it is what it is. But there's a chance they still end up there, and I think ultimately that would be a good thing.
If they're in the bottom part.
I think that right.
Okay.
Not even if they do give up the 5th pick, the incentive there. Obviously, it sucks. The Magic.
It completely sucks. Then for me, it's a true failure then, because you didn't achieve your goal, but you didn't achieve your goal, and then you didn't get the pick either. Like, you're truly screwed then. You know what I'm saying? Because you sat out here and you set me a goal to go to the playoffs. You didn't achieve that. Well, okay, maybe I'll get this pick then. You didn't get that shit either? Well, goddamn, we're super screwed now then. You know what I mean?
My feeling is that they already are.
Okay.
And if you give up the 5th pick, it looks that much worse, and it gives you that much more incentive to make some changes, which I feel they need to make. They
have to make it. And again, this is why I want to allow him to go through his goal and his plan. Because I'm like, I don't see it, and you don't see it, and you don't see it, and we don't see it. But I want to know what it is. You know what I'm saying? If your goal is here to make the playoffs, and we're obviously looking at the same things together, and we know what the issues are, and we feel the same ways about them, then what is your plan? That's why I'm like, I'm going to let you go ahead and play out your plan, and let me see how that plays out in that off season. You know what I'm saying? Because he got to have something ready. Because if you come with nothing ready, hey, come on, bro. It ain't. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will.
But that's how I think a lot of fans felt last summer. They finished 8-15 and get bounced in 5 games in the playoffs,
and especially those fans who had doubts about Lonzo and him coming back.
That's the biggest one, yeah.
And
they banked on optimism,
and that was almost a year ago.
Yeah,
and nothing has changed. If they go through these last 23 games and win. So last year they finished 8-15. Let's say they somehow finished 15-8 this year.
Okay.
And they make it to the playoffs. And they win a playing game. Do you think Arturas is going to say, we showed no progress, we're going to make some real changes now? No, he's going to say, we went through adversity and we came out the other end, and now I feel confident in continuing to build around this team. So I'm going to give another contract to Vooch.
Now that would be some serious goalpost moving.
I think that's worst case scenario.